Welcome to the Liquidity Event, a show about all things personal finance with a laser focus on taxes, financial independence, and equity compensation. Hosted by AJ and Shane of Brooklyn FI, each episode will focus on a personal finance topic, some driven by news headlines and sometimes driven by listener questions. And sometimes you'll just get two money nerds rambling about what they think is interesting. Just a quick note before we get started, this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered tax or investment advice.
Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity Event. We're your hosts, Allie Jane.
And I'm Shane Mason.
And this is episode 141, being recorded on April 1st, 2025, airing on April 4th. A quick reminder for you listeners, we will answer your questions on the pod if you leave us a message. You can disguise your voice and use a fake name if you're shy. That is the link for that is memo.fm/the liquidity event. How are you doing, Shane?
I'm awesome. Very good to be back from travels. I guess I'm still traveling, but 2 weeks in Japan were incredible time away. I think a real vacation doesn't happen unless you forget what day of the week it is, and I definitely had that experience while I was in between temples of Kyoto and a monkey sanctuary, etc. It was truly a great getaway. And now I'm in New York.
Congrats.
I've been with you. Yeah, we skipped last week because you and I were doubling down on some work we were doing. First of all, I was extremely jet
Shane
lagged.
was so jet lagged, y'all.
I fell
We had a
asleep.
2-day summit planned, and most of it Shane spent on my couch, which is fine. It's fine. We did it later in the week.
That's an
we
exaggeration.
adjusted.
I took a 2-hour nap. For AJ, that is most of the summit.
Most of the summit. You were on the couch.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Quick
yeah.
quick highlights. Best bite in Japan that you ate.
Best bite. Unfortunately, I like eating octopus. So octopi. So
Oh,
I think
unfortunate because they're intelligent beings who feel pain.
well, yeah. Well, yeah. I went through that, like, you're in the octopus teacher phase where I was like, I'm not eating them anymore. They don't deserve to die. Honestly, we should all be vegetarians, but yeah, I didn't like, but I did eat like an arm of an octopus that was like a foot long, which was incredibly delicious. And anyway, what's your next question?
Best thing you ate. Longest walk that you took in Japan.
Longest walk. I mean, the Philosopher's Path along in Kyoto was incredible. We were there right before cherry blossom season, unfortunately. So as soon
It's
as we
cherry
touched,
blossom season here in New York right now. There's like
It's-
4 on my block. It's awesome.
it's not the same, bro.
Myrtle Avenue, y'all.
Ew.
There's cherry blossoms
Gross.
here.
Yeah. There's cherry blossoms above you, and there's heroin needles below you. It's a beautiful city.
Everything's great.
Yeah,
Well,
you can
today
walk
on the
around
show,
Japan
folks.
barefoot. Like, gross.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Today on the show, we've got some corporate espionage with Rippling and Deel. We've got students using AI to beat technical interviews. Is the age of the programmer over? We've got a cool digital health startup to talk about. And then we've got some listener questions about spending money and being a business owner. So let's dive into our first article. This is a New York Times article. The title is Accusations of Corporate Espionage with Deel and Rippling. I can't decide if the story is wild or boring. For those who don't know, Rippling and Deel are two.
I think it's
They
wild.
work at, you think it's wild? Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to hear why, but just a little bit of background. They're both HR companies. So Rippling, we've actually looked at Rippling to use. They are a PPO. So if you are a business, you would
PEO.
basically, sorry, what did I say? PPO? I got health
You got
insurance on the mind,
PPP
folks.
loans on your brain. Yeah.
I got health insurance on the brain. Fuck you, Cigna. Anyway, so both these companies, they're both worth a couple $1 billion. Deel is recently valued at $12 billion, Rippling at $13.5 billion. They are competing in the same space. If you are a small business, they want your business. They want to be your provider for HR services. But tell me what happened that makes this story wild, Mr. Chain.
Well, these are accounting companies, right? And I've been an accountant a long time, and we've been watching the details on this guy. This co-founder of Rippling is well known in the industry as the founder of Zenefits, which is well known for being just like extremely aggressive, raising a ton of venture capital money. It's just very funny to see I think this would be more exciting or like easier to pick up as an exciting story if it was like a Palantir, right? Because then they would have like stealing corporate secrets from Palantir means you're potentially stealing information related to terrorism, right? Or
How
like
to
police
program drones,
brutality.
etc.
Yeah, all that stuff. Or in this case, we're like talking about IP related to HR software, payroll software, benefits software. We're all like, who cares? But I mean, that is still like really highly sensitive PII. I mean, if you were to hack one of these companies, you would be getting millions and millions and millions of employees, PII, addresses, birthdays, insurance benefits, insurance claims, HSA contributions, like the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to understanding somebody. And then you could just hack the hell out of them with all that information. With that said, the co-founder, Parker Conrad, is just well known in the industry for being like a really like a Steve Jobs type character where he's just relentless about getting these companies to high valuations. And it looks like it has
Yeah,
worked
I
in the
mean,
case of Rippling and that they're worth 14 billion at this point. All from a, it's not a very old company. This
yeah.
is a company that has taken a very basic problem, which is how do I submit payroll to the IRS? And then like there's all this like flywheel of additional services that they offer in terms of like laptop management
Yeah.
and then access to health insurance and all that stuff. Like B2B SaaS, baby. There's a lot of money back there, AJ.
Yeah, I mean, also to just give some anecdotes about his management style, in 2024, there was a tender offer, and former employees of any of their competitors, including Deel, Paylocity, Gusto, Remote.com, JustWorks, if you work at Rippling, you could not participate in this tender offer if you had previously worked at any of these competitors. I don't know if that's legal. I got to pull on my CEP knowledge and ask the folks at the National Association of Stock Plan Professionals if you can exclude groups. I mean, that feels like discrimination to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it happened years ago, so I'm sure if the lawsuits were filed, they would have been
This is
sort of out by now.
2024. This is last year.
I thought it was 21.
Oh, was it
I mean,
21? Oh,
I
kind
mean,
of
I'm probably wrong. I'm usually wrong, but I mean, still, like, I'm sure he ran it by the corporate lawyers at Rippling,
Oh, sure.
assuming,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what it shows is just that he's a vengeful person as well, right? Like, if you go work
Yeah.
for our
So
competitors, and as a firm owner, you and I have both experienced people going to work for competitors. It's not a very nice feeling.
no, it's not a great feeling. My takeaway from this is remember, kids, your company can read your Slack messages. They are probably not reading them actively. They're not typically allowed to do that. But the gist of this story, yes, that's what happened. Yeah, your Slack messages can be subpoenaed. If they are involved in a lawsuit, your Slack messages will be available to your employer and publicly. Your employer is not reading them now in a live stream, and they can't search your Slack messages.
I can't access my company's employees' Slacks unless I get a subpoena.
Yeah, but it's not that hard to get a subpoena in this day and age. So just remember, kids.
Who have you been subpoenaing?
I'm just saying. Just remember.
Wow.
Anything else? I mean, so basically, this former employee is basically caught in this honeypot trap in a Slack channel to basically admit that they were stealing corporate secrets, and now there's a big lawsuit.
Yeah, wait. So what exactly happened? Because the context is really interesting. That I mean, for example, another interesting thing was that Rippling was involved in sanction rule, like they were violating sanction laws related to Russian sanctions. I'm like, what are we doing here, Rippling? Like, what do you need to do to like create?
The reason why these companies are so valuable is because they're solving a complex issue for small businesses. We have this issue, which is like, how do you employ people not just in one state where one state has all the same laws? We employ people in 8 different states at this point, 9 different states. So like they're solving this complex issue, and Deel specifically is trying to solve this issue globally. So they have all these, they're collecting payments in Russia, and you're going to cause some red flags there.
Maybe that's what they were triggering, because you and I both employ contractors around the world, and it is hard to pay them sometimes. It's hard to get them onboarded.
Super hard to pay them.
And yeah, you get wiring money abroad as a pain in the ass. So if they were trying to, I guess that's what happened, is they were trying to sort this out, and then doing so, they didn't do enough know your customer type investigations, and then they ended up sending money to Russian. Yeah, that's a big deal. But like the whole honeypot around thinking there's a mole, like Deel had planted a mole. That's
so
fun.
good.
Yeah, I just watched Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag, and like I'm like I'm getting off on like the CIA MI6 stuff right now. So they planted a mole in Rippling's company. Like he actually worked there, and there's like single agent stuff. Yeah, and so they invited him to a Slack, or her to a Slack channel, and then honeypotted this person, correct?
Yep. And they caught this person because they started searching the word Deel and that's how they caught them. Like there was like unusual activity in their search term for Deel, and that's which is why I'm saying they can read your Slacks. There is, I remember investigating this at a prior company. It's not just a subpoena. You can, as an employer, you can request from Slack corporate to read your employees' messages, but you have to obviously provide a reason, and there is a human process that you have to go through. But yeah, just be careful what you say on Slack. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's just generally good advice, not to.
Yeah, just remember
on any
anything you
corporate
say
channel.
Anything you say in writing, just imagine it as an ad in the New York Times. That's kind of how I approach life. Like a full page ad.
I don't know if you do. as one of your best friends, I'm not sure.
One of my besties in the G chat, or whatever we used to say.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I just got in touch with Ezra Klein. I have forwarded the transcripts.
Oh, you got in touch with Ezra Klein? I'm reading his new book, Abundance.
I know.
Have you read it?
That's why I said it. Because
okay.
I pay attention.
You pay attention. I'm so happy for you. Okay, so speaking of paying attention, a student at Columbia used AI to beat his Amazon interview and is now being kicked out of Columbia, or he's leaving Columbia. Columbia was not happy with this. Basically, when you apply for these software engineering jobs at Facebook, Apple, etc., Amazon, etc., you have to go through this extremely excruciating, apparently, technical interview. I've never been through one of these technical interviews before. But this kid figured out how to ace it by basically writing a program that in the background of this test, which happens, it's live proctored with the interviewing company, figured out a way to basically paste a screenshot of the prompt and then ace the test. And ChatGPT basically did it for him. So his argument is that like these jobs are so stupid because AI is going to make these jobs irrelevant anyway. So why do I have to study for this nasty interview? I'm going to take a shortcut. So good innovation. I'm sure someone will hire him because of this. What do you think here?
Well, I mean, Amazon tried to hire him because he aced the interview. I mean, it's really ingenious what this kid pulled off, and it's also really revealing. It's pretty punk rock, actually, that he did this.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's very hacker-ific. Like, it's not even. He said that in the article that he could write this hack that he wrote to get a technical interview question into ChatGPT, which ChatGPT can answer like almost any question instantly related to coding. And it kind of invalidates the whole purpose of these interviews, because if you're working at this job and they do ask you one of these questions, you are going to use ChatGPT. It's like not allowing people to use Excel to interview for like an accounting job and then give them accounting questions or what.
But here's the question, though. It's like
equivalent to every industry.
Totally. I mean, take our like financial planning, the CFP exam, you have to use a financial calculator to do time value of money calculations. Like that is, talk about anachronistic. Like you don't need to do that anymore. There is software, there is Excel, like Excel can do that for you folks, but you still in 2025 have to bring a calculator to this exam and learn how to use it. I almost didn't pass the test because I was scared of that, because that kind of math is not my strong suit. But my question is like, is standardized testing over? Like we need to like radically change the way we test people's skill set or intelligence or grasp of information, because ChatGPT has made it irrelevant at this point. If you can access ChatGPT, I mean, I've used it to study for standardized tests, of which I've taken recently. It's very helpful for that.
I want to circle back later to this kid's like punk rock thing. Like he released the whole interview that he did with Amazon onto YouTube, and apparently you can't get it. You can't see it anymore because Amazon took it down for copyright reasons. But it's incredible how he pulled that. He created a line of code that allowed, like, they put an image of the code or the question on the screen, and they monitor you and they monitor your machine as well. And he kind of like did some hacking stuff to allow the image to be captured and go into ChatGPT and then send it back to him with the answer, which is fucking badass. And then he put the whole thing on GitHub, which means anybody could access it. Unfortunately, one of his colleagues like ratted him out. This kid's going to go very far. He's a hacker. He's a creative problem solver. He's awesome. And then he turned down the job offer from Amazon, which means that this 21-year-old, he's not going to graduate from Columbia is what he said, but he's like 20 years old and he turned down the job, which means he turned down $300,000 a year at 20 years old, which is badass as hell. Like, I love you, whoever you are. But like, yeah, ChatGPT is making us dumber. It's interesting. It's making us, I agree with you. It's like gonna do some weird things to the way we learn and we process information because it's
Yeah.
fantastic at summarizing, getting us to answers. But there's a lot of evidence that was coming out recently that the more you use ChatGPT, the lower your critical thinking skills become.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means like you as an entrepreneur or us as entrepreneurs, should we even allow our employees to use these tools that make our knowledge workers less intelligent or
Yep.
less problem solving? Like I think it's great that we use them to like maybe punch out an email really fast, but the gray matter that we use to write those emails in the first place is getting weaker and weaker. But there's always this conversation around, should we be using Excel or should we just be using calculators or should we use the abacus circa 800 AD? I don't know. Like we have to use these tools, but they are having a dramatic impact on the way that our gray matter works. Just like in the opposite direction, when a taxi cab driver gets access to Google Maps, the gray matter that allows them to navigate the London system or
Oh yeah. I
the
mean,
New York
a
system,
taxi.
like
Yeah, that's over.
they
Like
lose
no
that
one
gray
has
matter.
any sense
Yeah.
of direction anymore. There's none of that. If you get into yellow taxi in New York City at the airport, they hand you your phone and they hand you their phone
Kind
and
of
they say
sad.
type in your address. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
But
at the same time,
You
no one
don't
knows
need
how to
that
make a
information
barrel
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when the internet goes down, when the apocalypse comes, like I think our generation and previous generations are going to do better because we at least grew up without the ability to just answer complex problems by typing 4 words into a prompt. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
let's move on.
I love that he loves to code. Is the
You love this guy.
ironic
You want
thing
to marry
about
this man? You're
He
tired of this
loves.
guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because it's very punk rock because he loves to code, which is a very fun thing to do. I learned how to do it last year, and it is very cool to get something to work. But then these companies throw these leak code interviews at you that are totally irrelevant to the actual work that you're going to do. And he said he spent 600 hours preparing for these interviews. It's almost like spending 600 hours preparing like for something that's totally irrelevant in your life and it
Yeah.
killed his joy of coding. And this whole thing is just to nuke these technical interviews so that other people don't have to do this. Like 600 hours, you extrapolate that over 1,000,
Yeah.
10,000 coders every year, and it's just such a waste of human
A lot of
capital.
time.
So love
Yeah.
it.
A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of brain power going into passing these tests. I mean, extrapolate that out not just for these technical interviews, but like, what about standardized tests? Like, standardized tests determine how much, like, test scores determine how much funding schools get and how well they're ranked. And like, ChatGPT is going to teach the kids who have access to learning how to prompt engineer. They're going to continue to ace these tests, and everyone else is going to get left behind. So I think one of the biggest disruptors I've actually seen ChatGPT change the way things are going to be done, and it's going to have to happen quickly, is standardized testing. I mean, I just saw it taking this certified exit planning exam. Like, they're going to have to rewrite that exam because it's just so easy to just be like, throw the exam question into ChatGPT and get the answer because it's all sort of subjective based on this one text. Like, that's over. Like, there's no more memorization is irrelevant now because you have everything at your fingertips. All right, moving on. Speaking of everything at your fingertips, we've got a
Curious where this transition
digital health startup. If your fingertips are, not in working order, you might want to ask your employer if they have Hinge, not the dating app. This is a physical therapy startup. I am long on this company as someone who needs tons of physical therapy for her failing body's ailments of all kinds, knees, ankles, shoulders, all the above. Rotator cuff, wrists, I'm a mess. Instead of going to physical therapy where you get a person who has a associate's degree in exercise science, you can have this app called Hinge, not the dating app. And there's actually a wearable device, and it basically monitors your movements and gives you PT exercises to do. If you've never been to physical therapy before, folks, what you do is you walk into this like kind of janky-ish gym-looking thing with a bunch of exercise bands and massage tables, and your physical therapist asks you a bunch of questions and has you do these like really weird, specific, targeted exercises. And then they send you home with a janky app, and you're supposed to do the exercises at home. I love physical therapy. It's rehabilitated many parts of my body. I know, Shane, you're in physical therapy right now because of your back. I love this. I'm obsessed with Hinge. Thoughts?
Couple things. One, the dating app could also potentially be some sort of physical therapy.
Anyway.
If you know what I mean. Secondly, yes, I hear you on the the issues with current physical therapy issues, anything that you have to go into a physical office. It's just an antiquated way of getting things done. It is lovely to be face to face with somebody.
Yeah,
I
but
think the
don't you
whole
think that
world.
it's also like an accountability thing? Like to me, if I have an app that I have to do every day with exercise, like I'm just not going to do it. It's just another fucking to-do list that another app is going to tell me I have to do. Whereas like if I have physical therapy, I have to go and I'm going to
I
get
agree.
my muscles strengthened and rehabilitated over a 30 to 40-minute period. So maybe this is just, I don't know. They have all these studies that say it really works. Of course, they're going to publish the studies that say it really works.
I 100% agree. Like there is this element, especially if it's with another person. Like I don't have any accountability issues when it comes to showing up to a Zoom meeting where someone else has to be there. But when
Yeah.
it comes to like something that you have to do on your own, such as
Yep.
physical therapy, I almost never do my physical therapy homework, even though it makes my back
Of
feel so
course.
much better. One negative thing I'll say about the in-person thing is that I did go to a physical therapist who required a very expensive assessment to figure out what was going on with my back. Got it
Yep.
done, and she was like, "Yep, you have a pinched nerve. Here are the lessons that you need to do." I went back to Mexico and did probably 20 sessions addressing that specific issue, and then nothing was working. So I went to an actual orthopedist who did an MRI, and she's like, "You do not have a pinched nerve. You got something else,
Hmm.
something totally different
Yeah.
going on." So I spent 20 hours in physical therapy doing
For the wrong
irrelevant
thing.
exercise. Yeah, I was having
Ugh.
needles stuck in my under my skin, electroshock therapy,
E.
all this stuff. Like,
E.
which is a little therapeutic in mental and physical ways, but yeah, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, kind of, that's irrelevant to this company. You're long on this company because it allows you to do physical therapy from home. There's a lot less cost to you. I mean, what do we have to do? There's obviously some sort of camera. What is the hardware that we're looking
Yeah,
at
it's
here?
it's like motion capture. So yeah, there's like a little wearable that looks like a little I don't know, it's like half the size of an iPhone that you kind of like paste onto yourself and it motion captures you. And so it gives you feedback. It's like, "Hey, no, you're doing this exercise wrong." I mean, the app that I have from my physical
Oh,
therapist was made in like 1984 and it's like a woman's voice being like, "Move your arms in a circle crosswise.
yeah.
Relax. Take a break." And I'm like, "What the fuck are we doing here?" And it's like a, AI image of a woman going like this. I'm like, "Okay, that's supposed to help me, separate my shoulders."
Hmm.
Um One thing I have to say is that I think physical therapy and why I love this app so much, if you ever have surgery or you ever have like a true something that is wrong, like it's fixed by sewing or breaking bones or putting them back together or
I'm
implanting
familiar.
something in your body, we're both
Hmm.
familiar with that.
Hmm.
Physical therapy should be mandatory after that surgery. I had a major surgery 3 or 4 years ago, and they were just like, "All right, you're good, go home." And I lost muscle function in my entire left side of my body because I was so weak. Because no one said, "Hey, you should go to physical therapy to rehabilitate your muscles because you're healing." Like this
Hmm.
app to me could change the healthcare system dramatically because it's like, "Hey, you don't have time. Like you've got a job. Like you can't go to a physical therapist at 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Go to do this app, and if you do it 20 times, you get a break on your health insurance premiums or something like that." Like this is a way to build incentives for people to stay healthier and use less healthcare in the future. So that's why
I
I'm wrong on this.
100% endorse that. And I would have to, I'd always thought physical therapy was for like 90-year-olds until I went there
Oh,
and I realized that everyone working there, you kind of disparaged them earlier, and so did I. But the people that are working in there are exercise science majors. And even if you don't have a current like issue, they're like physical trainers, right? Like they're like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can go in there and be like, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Like I want to gain
yeah,
muscle mass or lose body fat or both. And they could show you how to do it. Like it's
totally.
almost like every single American probably needs to go to physical
Needs it.
therapy.
Totally. I mean,
Like
I love to
once
play
a month
golf.
at least.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like trying to increase my like rotational ability, and she was like, my physical therapist was like, "Do these three exercises," and I did it for like didn't do it every day. I did it like 3 times a week, and it worked. Like I noticed
Mhm.
I'm just more flexible in the way I'm able to rotate. All right. That's enough articles. We've got some listener questions on the docket today. I'm gonna read you the first one. I'm a 40-year-old musician, finally making a bit of income and no retirement account. As a musician, I tend to get 2 statements from record labels publishers a year, and I'm tempted to dump some into a new retirement account soon, before the deadline of 2024. That is coming up on April 15th. I've been reading about a solo 401k versus SEP IRA versus a traditional IRA. My husband makes a killing. Good for you. Good for your husband. Good for everybody, which doesn't allow me to qualify for Roth IRAs since we file jointly. We keep our finances separate for the most part. What kind of account would you advise for someone like me who is self-employed? I know the answer. What's your answer?
There's only one answer.
What's the answer?
It's obviously a defined benefit plan.
No, it's a whole life
funded
insurance
through
policy,
an S
obviously.
corporation that you set up in New Jersey to avoid New York City tax, and make sure you pay yourself a reasonable compensation.
No, it's a whole life insurance policy on
No,
your
there it
husband,
is.
who's obviously making a bunch of money.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Features and
so
benefits. Features and benefits.
the answer here, first of all, the deadline is April 15th. However, if you extend your tax return to the October 15th deadline, you got to pay your taxes. But you do have more time to make contributions to a very special type of retirement account. What's that retirement account called, folks? It's the SEP IRA, the self-employed pension plan. One of the best retirement accounts, one of the most flexible retirement accounts, one of the easiest retirement accounts to set up. I do love a 401k. I love a solo 401k. However, they are difficult to set up. They're difficult to maintain. So if you're making, let's call it between, I don't know, $20,000 and $150,000, a SEP IRA is going to be a really, really great solution for you. So I'm pro SEP IRA here. The amount that you can contribute is dependent on your income. So you got to make sure that you're not just writing off a bunch of bullshit and bringing your income down to zero. Then you are not allowed to make a SEP contribution. Is it 20% of your income? 25%? I always forget. 20%?
For a solopreneur, it's someone that hasn't incorporated into an S corporation is 20%. Yeah.
20%. 20% of your net income. And if that's not that high, then let's also do that traditional IRA. You won't get the tax deduction for it. So you can have both a SEP IRA and then also do your own other individual IRA. That contribution limit for this year is $7,000, $7,500, 2025. They just raised it.
Whatever it is.
It's about
Yeah.
$7,000. So if your business had net income of $100,000, you can make I'm just simplifying it here. You can make a $20,000 SEP IRA contribution, and then you could also make a $7,000 IRA contribution separately.
And then backdoor it into that Roth that she wants. So
You absolutely could. You could do that backdoor.
Yeah.
And then once your income gets a lot higher and maybe you're consistent with your income, it sounds like you've got these two statements coming in each year. So I don't know how big they are, but you at some point might want to explore a solo 401k because that way you're able to put more money into it. I hesitate to recommend solo 401ks until we start to see 2 or 3 years of a consistent income above $150,000, $200,000. That's kind of my threshold. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, because having that additional cap that you can contribute to is only useful if you have a ton of discretionary income. And how can you really have a ton of discretionary income if you're making less than 100, 150K? I mean, if your husband's making a ton of money, then that could count as your income, right? So if they can take money out of their cash flow and then you could put it into your solo 401k, then it might even make sense for you to have that solo 401k even at a lower income amount because there's so much more additional income in the household that your individual income, like it kind of changes the rules for you individually. So keep that in mind as well.
Yep. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is don't be afraid of requesting an extension on your tax return to give you more time to get that done and get that SEP IRA set up.
Yeah. And a little bit of an edgy thing, AJ, that we might want to throw in here, considering that they're 40 and they might be doing physical therapy, is that if they're in really good health and they have good family history, they might want to explore a insurance plan that allows them to qualify for a health savings account, and then they can put money into another tax advantaged account that way. So you wouldn't be able to make that decision until the end of the year, until around November when you head into open enrollment for 2026. But
or you could get divorced. That would be a life qualifying event. I think we've got time for one more. This is a question that came through Reddit. 26-year-old male about to start making $350,000 to $400,000 a year. Congratulations, that's a healthy income. Hey guys, my business that I started in university is starting to take off within the past 18 months, and I am expecting to make $350,000 to $400,000 per year by the end of the year. I have a few questions. What are some smart things I should do early on in my career to make sure I am saving and preserving enough money? This business has taken a lot of my social life away over the years, and I feel like I can't relate to anybody that I know that's my age. Are there any social clubs or something along those lines that I could join to make some friends? My girlfriend of 2 years has no clue that I'm going to make this much, and I don't want anything to get to her head. How would you handle telling her if you would tell her? Whoa. 3 major questions.
Let's tackle
the first.
Yeah.
I love these questions. This is first of all, congratulations on building a business that's going to generate a income that's hopefully going to sustain you for the rest of your life. You're thinking ahead. That's super smart. What are some things that this person should do early in their career to make sure they're saving, preserving enough money? I mean, to me, we just talked about SEP IRA. This person is an obvious candidate for a solo 401k, right? We can get almost potentially $70,000 of that money into a tax advantage account, get a nice tax break because they're going to make both the employer and employee contribution here. So I love this. That would be my first recommendation. Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, just to piggyback off, not to interrupt, but like they're even at an income level high enough where us as tax accountants, we used to explore. I was joking about the defined benefit plan earlier.
Yeah.
But as
Too
someone so
complicated.
young, yeah. Well, if you're making a lot of money, like if you're making $1 million by yourself, like even though they're complicated, that's just like that's a money problem. You can just pay someone to figure it out for you, right?
I mean, look, this person is 26 years old. They're super successful. They're obviously spending a lot of time in their business. It's taken off. They've obviously put in the work. Now the profits are coming in. You know, I hate when people try to overcomplicate things. Like my best advice to this person is to save 50% of their income into the stock market. Most of it should go into 401k. The rest of it can go in a brokerage account. Like make sure it's in diversified, low cost funds. I'd recommend getting someone to manage it for you so you don't spend it. You asked how you should handle talking to your partner about this. Having a third party in the room would be really helpful. They're your girlfriend, so maybe, maybe this isn't your forever person. I don't know, so maybe you don't tell them. Maybe you go out to a nice dinner and say, hey, I'm doing really well at work. Wanted to celebrate it with you. Full stop. You don't need to share numbers if you're not comfortable. If you're going to build a life with this person, I would share numbers. The earlier, the better. Disagree?
Yeah, no, it's a little, I mean, 26 is so young. Like, why would we get into this? I mean, if you disclose that, that could potentially throw everything off the rails. Pretty. I mean, money changes everything, does it not, AJ?
It does. You can read my Substack. Money changes everything.
I
Totally.
think the social aspect is interesting. I mean, personally, if you've been dating someone for 2 years, you're getting into the money side of things, but your prefrontal cortex is just starting to round itself out at this point, right? Like you're not even fully an adult at this point. So that it's going to create a problem. It's going to create a very big problem. And you might want to see a couples therapist before you disclose something of this nature. I mean, it's also relevant to the follow-up question of like, how do I spend it? And like, how do I join social clubs? Or like, how do I live a social life? I mean, when I'm thinking about spending it, and I have like, the best thing that you can do when you start to make money is to start to make the rest of your life easier if you want to continue to make money, or like starting to hire the people that can clean your house, that can take care of things for you. There's a lot of money problems out there, and money is a social, or not a social lubricant, but a life lubricant when it comes to helping you out with things. And like as someone that recently joined a club, that's where I'm surrounded by other entrepreneurs that have similar problems to me, that I can connect with and look each other. Like the friends that you had in college are not going to have these same problems as you are having right now. It's just statistically
I'm
very
scared.
rare
I mean,
for any.
I think this person is saying, I don't have any friends because I was building this business while I was in university and then it took off. Like they're saying, I'm 26. I haven't built these communities and these foundations because I was building this business. So now I have money. How can I turn that money into relationships? How do I do that? And I think, social club is a great idea. I mean, but that's what they're asking.
Hinge.com.
Yeah.
Physical therapy.
I mean, I don't know if you're in a major city or not, but like, first of all, if you're not in a major city and you want to find a community, move to a major city or move to a community that has people your own age. I think a lot of people make the mistake of, hey, I need to ultra optimize my life. I'm in the FIRE movement. I want to retire early. I'm going to move to an ultra low cost of living area for retirees because I can get a really cheap place. And it's like, cool. You just isolated yourself and you have no friends and you're miserable in your 20s. And you're going to get even further away from those relationships and those opportunities to build communities. So wherever you are, I mean, there's trivia nights, there's karaoke nights, like whatever you're into, kickball, like John Owens on our team is like a great example of that. He's like, I'm going to join every fucking activity I possibly can and I'm going to make friends. And he did. And now he's like 2 years into living in this community and he's got this like amazing support system. And like, it can be done. I've seen it done.
Sure. Well, I agree with you there, but I might disagree with you on the types of people that you might want to surround yourself with. Because if this person is making this amount of money doing kickball tournaments at your apartment complex, like that's I don't know if they're going to be able to connect on the level that this person is looking for. I mean, maybe that in addition to joining some entrepreneurial operating like companies, like the Operators Guild is made up of other entrepreneurs that want to meet with each other and discuss the types of issues that they're having. Well, and then there's like social clubs as well that require a significant amount of investment where you're going to be able to meet other people that have this amount of income that you're going to be able to connect with and talk about managing money right?
Yeah.
And like if you go to your buddy and you're like, hey man, how do I invest $200,000 and your buddy is making $25 an hour, it's going to build
Yeah,
resentment.
it's not gonna be a good relationship. But that's, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it's like, what do you spend money on? Maybe you hire someone to help run your business so you can work 35 hours a week instead of the 80 that you're working now, right? Maybe you hire someone in the business. Maybe you hire a therapist to work on yourself, or a life coach, or or physical, what's it called? A personal trainer, or a physical therapist. Or you start to, like you were saying earlier, like you start to improve your life. So if I were in this person's shoes, the advice I would take is budget. Say, hey, I'm going to spend 1% of my income this year on doing something fun and silly for me and my girlfriend. We're going to go out to dinner. We're going to buy presents, whatever. I'm going to spend 5% or 10% on building community, whether that's joining a social club, I don't know, traveling with groups, things like that. And then the rest, I should save, honestly, like pay for your necessities and then save the rest, because sorry, kid, like, congratulations, your business took off, but businesses are cyclical. So this could be the only year that you make $400,000. And if there's 3 years of you making $400,000 at 26, if you're able to put half of that or even 30% of that into the stock market and let it ride, you're going to be basically set for life, as long as you can make a little bit of income and have health insurance for the rest of your life.
Don't buy a house. It's the last thing I'll say.
Yeah, good advice. Good advice. All right, folks, thanks for hanging with us. Sorry we didn't show up last week. We will be here next week. Well, we might be here next week. Thanks so much for listening. You can email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. Leave us a voicemail at memo.fm/liquidityevent. We will play it on the air. And finally, Stans could leave us a review if they want to be weird about it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.